Okay, so our very first sub on Extra Time, bringing on to Extra Time with Girls on the Ball. You're going to have to come back out of retirement for a little bit. Jodie Taylor, thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
It's quite a career you've had. I know we spoke a couple of months ago when you joined Chloe and I. 2 decades, 51 England caps, 17 teams, 6 countries, Euro 2017 Golden Boot, of course, World Cup bronze medal. God, that's quite a list. I had to read it because there's that much stuff. How do you reflect on your career?
Yeah, it's gone so fast. That's the biggest thing. It does feel like just yesterday that I was starting out my career, and to reflect and just see how far the game has come is incredible. I feel really proud to have been a part of that from the beginning. I think back to when I played my first games at senior level, but the top flight, the highest level of the game in England when I was 15 for Tranmere, and then everything in between it's just gone by like a flash. It's crazy. And I never knew, even back then, as I was getting a bit more serious, I knew there was women who played, because as a kid I didn't know that there was any female football existed. It wasn't professional, but knowing that there was a national team and there were World Cups and European Championships and things to strive for, the game wasn't pro, and I never knew, even at that age, as a teenager, late teenager, that it was a profession, something I could actually do as a career. But I just kind of followed that passion and that love for the game, and it kind of, alongside the growth of the game, I ended up being able to be a professional. So it's been crazy thinking back to, I went to college, then I stopped playing for a year because I was coaching at college, and I left the US to then go on this quest to try and make this national team, and earning next to nothing, and the sacrifices of knowing if I want to become the best I can possibly be, I can't really get a full-time job. So the sacrifices that come with that, and it's just incredible to see how the game has grown, and then to actually make it to the national team is my proudest moment. It took me a solid 4 years of really just giving up everything for it. And so to get my first cap at age 28, and then to go on, and even with the World Cup and the Euros that followed that, it was in my wildest dreams that I would ever get to that point. I remember when I first got my first England cap, and I knew the World Cup was in sight. It was about 8 or 9 months out, and then it was just like, just get to the World Cup, just get on that plane. Thinking about, if I could even just get 10 caps for England, I'd be so happy. I just want to be a part of this World Cup. So I never really thought beyond that in the moment. It has been an incredible journey, and something that I am really proud of to have been part of.
What do you, when you think about that World Cup, because I think it was we followed England from basically the east to the west of Canada. It was an incredible journey. It was, I think we think of it as some of our fondest memories that we've had in football. What was it like as a team? Because you weren't really expected to go and do what you did, and it's almost absolutely heartbreaking the way it ended, but then the joy on top of that, getting the bronze medal. So yeah, how do you kind of reflect on that journey?
Was that World Cup, the 2015 World Cup, has been one of my favourite memories and one of my favourite moments in my career through everything. Even with the Euros, winning a Golden Boot, I still made it to a semi-final, winning a Champions League, the 2019 World Cup, which was probably on a bigger stage with more attention. I don't think anything can compare to that 2015 World Cup and get the bronze medal. We absolutely overachieved for where we were at as a squad. It was my first World Cup. Even with that, I tore my lateral meniscus 6 weeks out from the tournament. So obviously I'm on this quest to make the national team, finally make it. I was doing really well in the lead up. I thought, right, I think I might be the start forward for England at this World Cup now. And then bam, I ended up getting surgery. And I remember the England doctor at the time had said, if you get that surgery, wait, don't get it. We need to get the English, because I was in America playing, we need to get the English knee specialist to look at this, because if you get surgery, you're potentially going to miss this World Cup. It's an 8 to 12 week injury. But there's nothing I could do. I had to get the surgery. So I was just, working my arse off to get back for this World Cup. And fortunately, I still got selected for it. So even just to be on the plane, I was just so happy to be there, not even knowing if I'd even be able to feature in this World Cup. And I just wanted to be a part of it. So already it was so unknown, and even just moving across Canada which was so foreign to all of us. And we're moving from Moncton, then we go to Toronto, or in Ottawa, then all of a sudden we're in Vancouver. It was just an incredible journey, and for family and friends too to be on that journey with us. So then, to then get to this quarterfinal match against Canada in Canada, they were the favourites, right? This was the quarterfinal, and I hadn't been in the England squad that long, but I knew enough to know that this quarterfinal match at a World Cup was we just couldn't get past it. It was like a mental block. It was just this block for the team. So I knew how important that game was. So to be playing the hosts on home turf, all the odds were stacked against us, and never did I think I would be starting that match either. I'd built in a few minutes. I ended up starting that game, which obviously I was all up for. And to score in that game, 50,000 Canadian fans just went silent. To win that match, and what it meant, I think, for women's football. Not just, in the moment, of course, I was happy I scored, happy I was playing, happy that we won, and we're going on to semi-finals, but just knowing that I think that took us to another level, like mentally and confidence and belief wise. We really needed that win to win a quarterfinal match at World Cup. And then obviously the rest of the tournament, the highs and lows of that. We go to a semi-final, the way in which we lost in the dying minutes of that, but then ended up getting a bronze medal. So I think we overachieved majorly, and it really set us up, I think, to know how good we were, and the confidence and belief, and just to get more attention on the game back home, which was brilliant. So it really is the biggest moment of my career.
It's one of those matches, I think often people will ask us what's the best match or favourite match. Obviously a Euros final, England winning it is up there, and now I also have Ireland qualifying for a World Cup to add to that list, but it's always been that BC Place,
that
Vancouver
noise. I will never forget the noise of that stadium when we went in and the teams came out. You came out for the anthems, and it just, because it was so enclosed, it just boomed around the whole stadium, the noise. And then, as you say, when you scored,
but I can still remember the slip and the slip, you picking up the ball, and it was like that kind of, when it's going to be a goal before it's actually scored. That's definitely one of our fondest memories as well. I can't imagine what it was like to be the one doing that, especially given your journey to get to that world, to just be in the squad, never mind do something like that, is pretty incredible.
But when I think about like the journey of like the way that women's football's gone, and there's points in time where things change. So I think the Olympics over here changed, put a focus on the game that had never been on the game before. I think that World Cup journey for you and the Lionesses team changed the way people thought about the Lionesses, that has triggered what's happened in the years since to get to the point where they're winning the Euros. It changed I really think it was the narrative around the whole thing with, Laura's obviously the own goal, the heartbreak, and the way that it endeared the team to a nation back home who were having to get up in the middle of the night to watch games. I think it really changed the sort of the course of the popularity of the team as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I even think about players that have become, came before my generation of players who paved the way for us to be able to be on that stage, and the game was turning professional. I think about players before us who never quite got that opportunity too, and then the squad of the 2015, 2017 Euros setting up this next squad, and we hope that we just keep seeing growth and building on that. So it's incredible to see a European Championship at home and winning it on home soil is just brilliant, isn't it? And now finally we are getting the exposure that the game deserves, and the quality is high now, and it is getting better because of the professionalism of the game. And it's just great to see. It's just exciting for the future to see where women's football can go.
One of the things we often ask players when they're playing is, if they score a particular goal or they win something, and kind of we ask them to reflect on their achievements, and it's always something that's a difficult question to answer when you're in the moment. Have you done much reflection since you've decided to hang up your boots, or because it was a longer process, have you had more time to do that? Because I imagine it's quite difficult when you look through your career to actually reflect on those moments and kind of reflect how far you've come, and also the impact you've had in the game.
Yeah, I think I'm quite a reflective person in general anyway. I think when you're in the thick of these tournaments, certainly the 2015 World Cup and the 2017 Euros, I'm not thinking in those moments or soaking it up. But yeah, certainly the last few months and the last couple of years, I do look back on on the game, just how far it's come, but I feel very fortunate for the opportunities that I've had, and even just down to the pandemic year, and I get a phone call to say, hey, do you want to go to Lyon? They've got Champions League coming up and they need a forward. Ada Hegerberg's done ACL. There's moments like that. I'm like, yeah, sure. And then you go and get to play in the Champions League final, win Champions League. I've been fortunate. But I do reflect a lot. And I think that the biggest thing for me I'm trying to carry forward is, I think it's been a road less travelled, like the way in which my career's kind of panned out. Of course, I started the game when it was not professional and players were getting paid petrol money and a £30 win bonus. That was the start of my professional career, to seeing where it is now. And, I think I've played for a lot of teams. I've moved different continents, and I felt that was just part of what I needed to do. And I went to get an education, and then I'm trying to play at the highest level possible. I had to move for that. I felt like I had to move for that. And, knowing that, I think for me, it's like not giving up. I think being persistent, having belief that you're capable. Even at, I was mid-20s and I still had this belief that I could play for England, and just not giving up. And I think that's a big message, I think, for other players and other people. There's highs and lows in the game, and sometimes you're the first name on the team sheet, sometimes you're the last, and the game can give you incredible highs and it can give you incredible lows as well. And just trying to keep your belief through that and stay grounded and not waver from who you are, your character. I think they've been huge lessons for me through my career. And, I think I reflect on those moments, and that's what I want to take forward into the future, whatever it is that I'll be doing, and hope that I can help pass that on to younger players and generations.
I hope it's a book, because I'll read it. But it must make the next step, I guess, exciting, because you have that grit and that fight and that determination and perseverance. So it must make whatever the next chapter is quite exciting, knowing you can rely on yourself, I suppose.
I hope so, yeah. But no, it's, and I think now even these young players in a professional environment and have the resources available to them, and it's exciting to see how, like, these young players are better than what we ever were, and it's great to try and push the standard of the game. And I still think there's a lot to be done. And I want to help grow the game. I certainly will be in the game. It is my passion, love, even though I'm not kicking the ball around anymore. I want to help others in the game, and as a player, just to have a better experience in the game too. Like I said, there are a lot of highs and lows. A lot of the game is out of your control. If a coach selects you, if they don't, if you get contracts, you've got injuries, you've got personal stuff going on, you're still having to handle pressure, the stress and expectation. I think even more so now, probably more so than when I think back in my 20s, there wasn't as much pressure, expectation or attention on the game. I think that's a whole other level for these players too. So that's as a interest and passion of mine, is hopefully can help players through those ups and downs.
I was going to ask you about your globe-trotting ways. I know it was kind of the nature of the game also in the last couple of decades, is that a lot of players did go to America and then they went to Australia when the American season stopped, and then came back to America. But you have been 6 countries. Do you have a favourite? Or I know you spent a lot of time in America, so that might probably answer it.
I think every place I've played, there's been something that I've really loved or enjoyed about it. And if it's something that's bad, it's a lesson, so it's something positive to take out of it. You're right. I think I know I've played for a lot of teams. It's hard for me to keep track of, but a lot of them came from, I was at college, then I go play in the summer at different clubs. And then to your point, in the US League, and it used to be a 6-month season. And then it was like your contract started at the beginning of the season and ended, so you're left for 5-6 months. So that's when a lot of players would go USA to Australia, which was fun. It was a good way to travel. I do think if I was a bit younger and got into a professional environment at an earlier age, I probably wouldn't have done the Globetrotting that I've done. So in a way, I'm happy for the experiences culturally that I've had too. And I do think it's helped me grow my game. For instance, going to the US when I was 18, I was not fit enough when I first went over. I wasn't used to training every day, playing 2 games a week. I trained twice a week, and then just like the mental side of the game, it's a completely different game. So I've learned a lot through going to different places. I love warm weather. So for me, places I've been in the US, even Australia, summers in Australia, you know, you can just wear a vest top and short, flip-flops, walking around, enjoy a coffee. That they're the places I've tended to be drawn to lifestyle-wise. I loved Lyon as well. You know, I never thought I'd enjoy Lyon as much as I did. But again, it's nice weather, good people, high level of football, of course. I think it's hard to pick just one, because I love my time at Arsenal, my second time at Arsenal too, and being in London and being in the game. It's such a professional environment. So from a football standpoint, you know, I really enjoy being there too. So I'm dodging your question.
Yeah, you are. don't upset anyone.
Everywhere.
Okay, final question. How are you going to, or how do you kind of commemorate your career? Do you have like a bookshelf that you have your medals on, or do you have, you know, a room where you put things, or do you have photos, or do you have a tattoo? How would you commemorate it?
You know, I've lived quite a nomadic career and lifestyle, to the point where I was like, I need to just keep this stuff safe. So that's with my mum and dad. I'll give it all to my dad, especially my 2017 awards for Golden Boot and everything else that year. Anything that I've won, all those medals are safe and sound with my mum and dad, because I travel around so much I'd end up losing it all, even down to different jerseys and shirts. Just got to keep it all in one place. It's all with my parents, safe and sound.
Easy to be found.
Yeah.
We were in Utrecht a couple of weeks ago for the England game, and we've just remembered that the last time we were there, you went and scored that hat trick against Scotland, and it was one of our first memories as we walked into the stadium was Jodie Taylor scoring that.
It was also a better memory because England then went on to lose. So
hold on to that one.
Great memories from Utrecht. I remember that game very vividly, the Scotland game, because I think it was a 9 o'clock kickoff, and we were one of the later groups, and you sit and watching all the other teams play and seeing the results, and then it gets to that morning and you're thinking, still, it's 10 a.m, you know, you're just antsy waiting around. It's like, it's so hard to switch off from. But yeah, that was really good memories at that stadium.
It was. We've got a room full of memories here. This is part of our podcast was that we're trying to actually make this look a bit more interesting for people, because all of our stuff is the other side of the room and it needs to be properly commemorated. But maybe we should just do what you do, give it to someone else and they can look at it.
Yeah, you need to hang some stuff up in the back there.
We have so many shirts and they're all not on the wall. So
they will be by the end of the season. They'll be there.
That's our goal. Well, thank you so much for being our very first guest and subbing on for us and giving us a little bit of your time on Extra Time with Girls on the Ball.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. I feel so special being your first guest.